welcome back to Little Troyer Farm. I just want to say, first off, a huge thank you to each and every one of you who have continued to support me on this YouTube journey, as well as just in all of our farm endeavors. So many of you are so encouraging, you are so uplifting, you have great suggestions most of the time. And I'm just so appreciative for this community that has formed. And I appreciate every single view, every single like, every single comment, every subscription. I really do appreciate each one of you guys that are here. We live in northern British Columbia in Canada. For those of you who are international, we are technically not even in our winter season. Winter technically starts December 21st, which is kind of crazy to think about. And our winters typically can last at least until the end of March and sometimes into April, where we're still having lots of snow and even snowstorms. It all just varies year to year depending on what kind of weather we are having.
Good morning.
Some of you have joined specifically to watch Ladybug, our orphan foal, grow up and just see her change and thrive and all of the adventures with her. She kind of had a rough start, not gonna lie. Her mama was a rescue horse, and we got her about 5 or 6 months into her pregnancy. And then we tried our very, very best to save her, but she was severely laminitic. And you can go watch that video explanation where we finally had to make the decision to put her down, leaving Ladybug as an orphan. So make sure you go check out Onto Greener Pastures. I left everybody hanging with my video yesterday saying that I made a huge mistake. Some of you think that you spotted it, but here's a little recap of 2 different instances where some shenanigans were happening. And I'm going to get into just the whole behavioral issue that I am seeing here with Ladybug.
Hey, excuse me.
Here I am simply adding pressure to move her off and to drive her off to assert my dominance so that she does not think that she can push me around.
That attitude does not fly with me at all.
So I am going to slow this down for you and show exactly how I made this mistake. I approached Ladybug. She can see me clearly and she gives me attitude. She pins her ears and she looks like she's going to come get me. This is where the mistake is. You see how I scratch her and I give her love? I accidentally rewarded her for that behavior, which is part of the reason why I think that we saw such a blow up the very next time I had this incident with food with her. Here I'm just driving her off, and you may think that Jitterbug is coming after me, but she is actually pushing Ladybug off because Jitterbug is protecting her grain from Ladybug, because Jitterbug is the boss in this pen. So in this situation today, Ladybug thought that she could be the boss of me, and I have to tell her, no, 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 I am the herd queen. So I am looking for some specific responses from her. She walks right into my bubble here and does not respect my space. So I add some energy and I drive her off a little bit more. She's still kind of giving me her hind end. You can see Jitterbug gave her the bump again. And so I drove her off again and I needed some space. I said, no, this is my grain until you respect me. Give her some scratches, see if she's going to respond. Nope, she tries to walk right through my bubble and to push through me and push through my space. And so I drive her off again until I get what I'm looking for. This is going to seem harsh to some people, but a lot of this is I have learned to read body language. I do not get it all perfect all the time, believe me, but there is so much that happens in the moment that is instinctual. So here she came up to me. She was content just to stand there. And so I stepped out of the way and I gave her some grain and let her eat. And then I stood next to her. Here I'm getting my tape ready, but I gave her some scratches. And she was completely chill and fine with me standing next to her with no pinned ears, no body language that was going to tell me that she was going to get nasty with me again. Food aggression can be serious, serious business because you may think that she looks small, but she is a few hundred pounds at least. And I have been kicked by a foal that was only a few weeks old, and trust me when I say that it left me a grapefruit size bruise on my thigh, right about the neck or head height of my children. And I am a huge, huge advocate for being careful around foals and weanlings. Any horse really that is not fully trained, I mean, there's going to be always a chance that there's going to be injuries. However, I want to make certain that just, the unpredictableness of foals does not cause somebody to be injured. Now, these behavioral things that happen, like this food aggression, if you do not nip it in the bud, let me tell you, you will have a 1,000-pound horse who is pinning their ears, spinning their rear end, and trying to kick the crap out of you. Excuse my strong feelings with this, but this is why this situation needs to be dealt with. This behavior needs to be stopped because it is completely dangerous for everyone involved. Here you can see her ears kind of went sideways. She's thinking, she's processing, but she's not mad at me. Whereas before, she pinned her ears and she was out to get me. There was no like, oh, I think that's Jitterbug and I'm gonna get her off my feed. Because Ladybug knows her place, Jitterbug is the boss. She would have never tried that with Jitterbug, ever. And so she decided to try to assert dominance over me and make me lower in the pecking order, and I had to say, absolutely not. You need to know your place. Good. Good. Good girl. Nothing. That's empty. There's a whole bunch on the floor, on the ground. Right there.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah, hungry, hey?
Yeah. Oh.
Your face is right in the line of fire here, kiddo.
I feel bad. Go on.
So unfortunately, I am very, very unimpressed with that behavior, and there is a zero tolerance rule when they are going to get nasty. If Jitterbug were to do that to me, there would be zero tolerance. She has never, or she's seen Ladybug, so I'm kind of in the crossfire here. If Jitterbug had done that to me when I dumped her food, which she did not,
Mommy.
I would have been pushing her off just like I did with Ladybug. Ladybug, because she was raised as an orphan for like almost 2 months, I'd have to look back, she tried to be pushy because we were the ones who brought her milk. And so because we were the mother figure in her life, we had to be consistent with her. We had to be consistent with her to not let her push us and bully us off of the food. Okay, girl. And that is where reading body language is so important. That was obviously, she was aggressively trying to defend her food and kick me off of it. Jitterbug was not anywhere close. And so that's why I got after her, because I went, no, absolutely not. You're not going to treat a person who is bringing your food to you, just trying to pet you while you're eating grain, to just pin your ears and try to kick me. That is dangerous, dangerous behavior. She may be small, but she could still seriously injure somebody. So even with weanlings, I'm just going on the bridge of her nose, giving her gentle pressure and telling her to move off of it. Moving off of pressure, even from this age, is incredibly important.
To hopefully help everybody better understand horses' natural behavior and responses, I recorded a few instances of just the horse behavior between Jitterbug and Ladybug, and obviously how they have figured out their own pecking order. So they are their own little herd, it's just the two of them in this pen, so that they get extra food without having to worry about the big horses chasing them off. As you can see here, Jitterbug gave her a warning. She pinned her ears back and kind of leaned into Ladybug's space, and Ladybug responded. Here I missed part of the clip where Jitterbug came at Ladybug, all because Ladybug was not respecting Jitterbug's space. And so you saw her run her off, and then Ladybug had to leave her alone. Here Ladybug thinks, oh, maybe we can share this pile of hay, and then Jitterbug gives her some attitude. She gives her some warning saying, hey, I want you to leave. This is my pile of hay. Ladybug doesn't go very far, and so Jitterbug kind of gets after her again. This is all normal and natural behavior. It's also why I always feed these two girls in 2 or 3 separate piles scattered throughout this pen, because otherwise Jitterbug would eat all of the hay and Ladybug would get none. And so it's very important to be able to feed everybody in different spots. Same thing with the big horses. I spread the feed around so you can see them eating peacefully. Nobody's really coming at anybody else. I know who gets along better than others, and we just we make it work. We feed along the fence most of the time. Or if I'm seeing them really, really getting after each other, I will go as far as making like 12 or 15 piles of hay scattered further down the fence line. Just to prove to you that I was not joking, I do feed both of them in 2 separate piles. It's not like Ladybug has to fight for food until Jitterbug's full or anything like that. Like, they both get plenty enough food to be able to fill their tummies and sustain their growing bodies. This is all completely natural. Even within wild horse herds, you will see this all over with equine behavior. There is a pecking order, they learn to respect it, and if they don't, they're gonna get beat up. It's just the way it is. And that's why, in a domestic setting, we separate the weak or the sick or the injured. Otherwise, they can get beat up to the point where they become severely injured or even killed. On an entirely different note, Grace here is our mare with an abscess in her left front foot. I believe it's still working its way down and out. It's going to be several weeks. Some days she walks really, really well on it, and other days she kind of has maybe a bit of visual tenderness that I can see, but it's not consistent. We're just continuing to keep an eye on it. Continuing to try to open it up so that if there is fluid built up, that finds its way out and that pressure is relieved. "3:45 in the afternoon rolled around, and I got out for kind of a mid-afternoon chore time. I needed to bed down the weanlings with some more straw because they just destroyed everything, and feed everybody else some grain. Grain, I'm hoping, is going to help stretch my hay a little bit and keep these guys in better condition. It's a lot of work. I don't know, trying to juggle everybody and their own personalities, and in this big pen like this, they see grain and they're all like, oh yes, goody, it's for us, it's spoiled goodness for us, ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy. And they're just so excited. And here is where that physical respect comes in, because if I had 7 of these guys bulldozing me to get to grain, I would be in a very, very unsafe situation. But they have learned that they do not get aggressive when there's food. I can safely walk through all of these guys, and as long as I don't get caught in the crossfire between one horse higher in the pecking order and one horse lower. As long as I don't get caught between them, I am pretty safe and pretty confident to walk through these guys if they're eating, even if it's like the yummiest food ever and they don't want to share. They know that I'm not there to take it from them, and there is no food aggression at all. So here I'm just giving them their own little piles, trying to space them out a little bit so that they're not attacking each other. I'm pretty sure I end up giving them like 7 piles of grain. A few of them end up sharing. Duke and Raven specifically tend to get along pretty well. Dottie and Jezzy get along pretty well. Breeze, it kind of depends on the day who she's friends with. Oftentimes she's friends with Duke. Sometimes she's friends with Jezzy. Sometimes she's friends with Charlie even. So she's kind of does her own thing. She's one of the higher up there in the herds where she literally just does her own thing because she knows she can get her own way. Grace, because she hasn't been feeling good with that abscessed foot, which as I'm watching this video right here, her left foot is the abscessed one, and she's got it planted, which is good, which means she's able to bear her weight on it without being in a ton of pain. So that's definitely what we want to see, but again, still continuing to keep a close eye on to it. Now, out of all of these horses, the ones that need grain the most would be Jezzy and Breeze and maybe Raven a little bit. Everybody else is in really good shape. It's also not uncommon for horses to lose a bit of weight over the winter, but I definitely don't want anybody coming out the other side of winter being really, really skinny or scrawny. So we will just keep on doing what we're doing. So all the horses are enjoying their grain over there. As you can see, the area where I actually feed them, there's like minimal actual solid poops around here. Most of them are out behind where I usually feed them. But up front here, pretty much a smooth surface as they've nibbled all the little bits of hay. And then their rear ends, right? So if their head is up here, their rear ends are out that way and then they're pooping that way. Same thing up here. Like that whole area is fairly clean compared to the areas where I'm not feeding them. These guys got bedded down with some nice straw again. Yes, Breeze, hi. These guys are all looking at me like, excuse me, where's our food? Excuse me, the yummy grain was not enough for our tummies. It's supper time. Hey, Miss Munchkin, that needs to learn respect and manners. Hey, I didn't really talk about it earlier, but I did go ahead and retape that leg. I don't know. It's not looking straight enough yet. I gave her a break for a while, or gave myself a break for a little bit, and then we got to get back into it, along with corrective hoof trimming and stuff. But there is a chance that she's never going to be fully straight. So it's a reality we have to deal with. Hey, is that much nicer? Guaranteed. Yep, look at that. I'm not even going to look away because that is reality. Perfectly fresh bedding. What's the first thing that they do? Walk into the shelter, onto the bedding to go pee. And then we walk out. Shame on you. Oh well, that's just the way it is when you own animals, right? You are such a turd. Excuse me. You like being so close? See my pitchfork? She didn't try any funny business with this last feeding. So I was also pretty careful in how I fed. I made sure that I was like, nope, I am here.
This is mine until I say that it's yours. And we didn't have any issues.